Today, we're going to talk about something that almost every couple struggles with, but especially neurodiverse couples, and that is setting boundaries without feeling selfish. Now, in many neurodiverse marriages, boundaries feel very dangerous. The neurotypical spouse may think, well, if I set a boundary, I'm abandoning him. And the autistic spouse may think, well, if I set a boundary, I'm failing relational expectations again. So instead of setting healthy limits, both couples overextend or shut down, and both paths create resentment. So today, I'm going to guide you through how to set boundaries in a way that protects the relationship, not threatens it. So we're going to talk about what boundaries actually are, why they feel selfish, and specific scripts for both partners. Boundaries are not rejection, they're clarity. Let's look at what a boundary actually is. We're going to start by correcting a misunderstanding. A boundary is not control, it's not punishment, it's not emotional withdrawal. A boundary is a statement of personal capacity. It says, this is what I can give sustainably. This is where I begin and end. This is how I stay regulated. And in neurodiverse relationships, capacity differences are real. The neurotypical spouse may have higher emotional processing stamina. The autistic spouse may have lower sensory or conversational stamina. Neither is superior. We're talking about different nervous systems here. So here's the first core reframe. Boundaries protect connection by preventing resentment. Without boundaries, you don't become generous, you become depleted. And depleted love becomes reactive love. Now let's look at why boundaries feel selfish. We're going to talk honestly here about the emotional resistance. For the neurotypical spouse, you may fear saying that, well, I need space, or I can't talk about this right now, or I'm overwhelmed. You might be concerned that if you say any of those things, it's going to feel like abandonment to your ASD spouse, especially if he already struggles with emotional security and has super low self-esteem. So you, as the NT wife, end up over-functioning, over-explaining, over-giving, and quietly, resentment builds. Now, for the autistic spouse, you may fear saying, well, I'm overloaded, or I need silence, or I can't do another social event, because you think that might confirm the belief that you're too much or not enough, or that you're hypersensitive or immature, etc. So you push through, and then you shut down later. Now, both partners often sacrifice regulation to preserve harmony. But harmony without honesty is very fragile. You can't build safety by suppressing your nervous system. Now let's talk about the three types of boundaries in the neurodiverse marriage. These are the three main types that you need. The first one is time boundaries. For example, I can talk about this for 20 minutes, then I'll need a break. That's not avoidance. It's sustainable pacing. So here's a script for the NT wife. I want to give you my full attention, but I'm starting to feel overwhelmed. Can we pause and come back at around 8 o'clock? Here's a script for the ASD spouse. I want to stay engaged, but right now I'm kind of feeling overload. I kind of need 30 minutes to regulate, and then I will come back. Now notice what both scripts include. Reassurance, specificity, and reconnection. Now here's the second type of boundary, emotional capacity boundaries. For example, I can listen right now, but I don't have the capacity to solve this right now. The NT wife can say, I can hear you vent, but I don't have the emotional energy to process this deeply tonight. The ASD spouse can say, I care about this, but I'm having trouble tracking the emotional layers. Can you tell me the one main thing you need from me right now? That's clarity. And clarity reduces misinterpretation. Here's the third boundary, behavioral boundaries. For example, I will not continue this conversation if voices are raised. The NT wife can say, when voices rise, I feel unsafe. If that happens, I'll need to pause the conversation. And the ASD spouse can say, okay, well, when there are rapid emotional shifts, I get overwhelmed and I get lost and confused. If that happens, I'll need to step away briefly. Now notice what happens here. You're not controlling the other person. You're simply stating what you will do to regulate. That's a boundary. Now let's talk about the difference between a boundary and withdrawal. Now this is critical. Listen up. A boundary includes explanation, ownership, and a reconnection plan, whereas withdrawal includes silence, blame, and indefinite distance. Let's contrast the two. Withdrawal is, just forget it, and you walk away. A boundary is, I'm too overwhelmed to continue right now, but I will be back at 7 o'clock. Withdrawal creates fear. A boundary creates predictability. Especially in neurodiverse relationships, predictability equals safety. And how long have you felt unsafe in your neurodiverse marriage? The answer is you've lost track. Now let's talk about when one partner thinks the other is being selfish. We're going to address the moment when boundaries trigger insecurity. Now, if you're the partner hearing the boundary, pause before reacting and ask yourself, is this really rejection or is my partner just trying to regulate? The vast majority of the time, it's about regulation. Here's what the NT spouse could think. Okay, well, my ASD spouse needs silence, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't love me. And the ASD spouse can think, okay, well, my NT wife needs emotional engagement, but that doesn't mean that I'm failing. Boundaries are not accusations. They're data. You're learning each other's nervous system. Now let's talk about a simple boundary conversation template. Here's a framework you can use together. Step 1, when I feel, you fill in the blank. Step 2, my nervous system tends to, you fill in the blank. Step 3, what helps me regulate is, and you fill in the blank. For example, the NT spouse could say, when I feel emotionally disconnected, my nervous system escalates. What helps me regulate is scheduled reassurance. And the autistic spouse can say, when I feel overwhelmed, my nervous system shuts down. What helps me regulate is some quiet time with a clear return plan. Now, both partners know it's not about selfishness, it's about nervous system regulation. So here's what I want to leave you with. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors with hinges. They open and close with clarity. Now, in neurodiverse marriages, boundaries are especially important because capacity differences are real. The neurotypical wife can't carry all the emotional labor, and the autistic spouse can't override sensory or processing limits. Healthy love respects limits. And when both partners set boundaries calmly, consistently, and clearly, resentment decreases, safety increases, connection stabilizes, and trust gets rebuilt. So you're not selfish for protecting your nervous system. You're being responsible. Now, if this resonated with you, let me know which type of boundary feels hardest to set. And if you want more tools for building safety and clarity in neurodiverse marriage, subscribe and stay connected. Also, please comment. I read and respond to all comments. I'll see you in the next video. Would you like to schedule a paid private coaching session? This will be in the form of a face-to-face Zoom call. Underneath any of my videos, you'll see this Calendly link. If you click on that link, it'll open up my calendar. You can pick the available days and times that works for your schedule. You'll get a follow-up email immediately after purchasing a session that will have the Zoom link that coincides with the day and time that you picked. I will get an email too that you scheduled a session, and I will be available on that exact day and time, and we will talk. I look forward to working with you.